Welcome to In Conversation with MANWAR podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Do Not Be a Bystander campaign. You can join us in raising awareness about bullying by visiting the donotbeabystander.com, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay informed about upcoming episodes. Today's participants are Anif, Adian and Sheroz. Our special guest of today's episode is Albert Mazaka.
This podcast. I'm your host, Manwar Khan. Today, I'm joined by three young individuals who are already here today to share their thoughts and insights on the topic of bullying. They all have the same goal, eliminating bullying from school and communities. These young individuals are passionate about addressing the issue of bullying and willing to empower others. Today's participants are Adian, Shahroz, and Nahian. Thank you, Adian, Shahroz, and Nahian, for joining us today. Before we continue, I would like to introduce our special guest today's podcast, Albert. Albert will shed some lights on bullying and give some tips and advice at the end of this episode. Once you guys are done, all our participants are done talking. I would like to share a little more information about Albert. Albert, a proud family man, devoted Christian, and small business owner, has lived in North Edmonton his whole life and remains as an active contributor to his community. He is a dedicated father of three and a loving owner of a dog. Albert has been deeply involved in various community initiatives, including coaching soccer and building affordable housing for growing families. He has served on Manning UCP board for over a year and demonstrating his commitment to public service. Just so you know, Albert is a UCP candidate from Edmonton Manning for the upcoming election who is committed to advocating for affordable housing, freedom of choice, senior care, and support for energy sector. Thank you so much, Albert, for joining us today. I know very well how busy you are and where you are supposed to be right now, knocking doors. But you managing time, that 40 minutes for us, for these children, and being here at the podcast means a lot to me. And I also want to say that Albert's firm commitment to the well-being of children, both within the school and a wider community, is truly admirable. So that's all about Albert. Let's get started with our questioning now that we have introduced our participants and special guest. So my first question is for Adian. Empathy is a powerful tool in addressing and preventing bullying. How can you tell me how can empathy help bullying situation? I mean, can it prevent bullying, or how it is helpful? How empathy is important in the situation of bullying, and can you give us an example? Yeah, you are muted, Adian.
Sorry. So empathy means that you have the ability to understand what someone is going through and share the feelings. Empathy helps in a bullying situation because it helps them know that they are not alone and you are there. There are many ways empathy can help in a bullying situation. For example, showing empathy to the victim of bullying. Doing this comforts them and makes it like they have more friends. Also, being a friend of the victim can sometimes prevent a bullying situation from happening because then the bully would be scared to confront the person because of their friends.
All right. Thank you for your answer. So by encouraging empathy, we can work towards creating a safer environment and society, and where we can reject bullying and support the well-being of individuals.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question for you, Adian, is what does it mean to you when we say compassion? And how can you encourage others to be more compassionate towards people who are being bullied?
So being compassionate pretty much means that you feel deeply for another person as they experience bad stuff and good stuff. You can encourage others to be more compassionate towards other people who are being bullied by telling them what compassion means and maybe giving an example of what would happen if their friends were being bullied. This gives them a good understanding of compassion and why they should be compassionate towards other people who have been or are being bullied. Another way could just be extending kindness and compassion and talking about who has suffered from bullying and telling them that showing compassion helps by giving them the feeling that they are not alone and they have friends.
Right. So what you're saying is that being friends to them, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So my next question goes to Shahroz. So promoting respect and empathy in school and communities is essential for preventing bullying. Shahroz, my question for you is, how can we promote respect and empathy in school and communities?
Communicating genuine empathy allows the other person to feel respected, accepted, and understood. Empathy is key to establishing both trust and respect, which can be defined as showing due regard for the feelings, needs, or rights of others. Some ways to grow empathy are stepping out of your comfort zone, receiving feedback, examine your biases, walk in the shoe of others, difficult, respectful conversations, join a shared cause, read widely, and be less judgment.
Right. Excellent. My next question for you is about respect. Can you tell me how can you show respect toward your classmates and teachers, and how do you think it feels if somebody disrespects someone?
To show respect to our teachers, keep quiet when the teacher is on the phone, raise your hand if you need the teacher, pay attention when teacher is teaching or speaking, use indoor voice so the teacher can focus on other works, always use the teacher's materials properly. To show respect towards friends and classmates, be kind, polite, avoid interrupting, causing disturbances, listen to others, and respect differences and in beliefs and opinions. Think before you speak, language and your tone. Lend a helping hand and practice compassion. The golden rule is to treat others the way you would like to be treated.
Excellent. Thank you for your response. So, showing respect towards classmates is not only beneficial for them, but also it's create a more inclusive environment for every one of us. Right? Okay. Perfect. So, my next question, the last participants of this podcast is Nahian. So, Nahian, my question regarding kindness. Kindness is a quality of being friendly, generous, considerate. So, why it is important to be kind to others? When a person is unkind to another person, what do you think? How do they feel?
Being kind to another person is important as it can boost their emotional well being, as when people are kind, it promotes a positive atmosphere and can make both parties feel happy. It could also form a connection and also form relationships, as when we show kindness, it creates a sense of trust, empathy, and understanding, strengthening relationships. It also plays a big role in society and can cause a ripple effect, as when people are kind to each other, it creates a more compassionate and cooperative society, which can lead to a ripple effect, as if one person is kind, the recipient is more likely to pay it forward, benefiting society. The recipient of unkind behavior could feel many negative emotions, some being feeling hurt from the unkindness, as it can make people feel offended, and it could also anger the recipient to cause them to harbor negative emotions towards the unkind individual. One very common feeling, especially through teens, would be feeling sad and rejected, as they would see it as a way of exclusion and just end up putting their mood down in general.
Thank you. Excellent. That's a great answer. So, my next question for you is, um, what can you do if you see someone is being mean to another person? It's your opinion. What you can do?
If you see someone being mean to another person, you should probably stand up for them. However, if you don't feel safe in standing up for them, you should contact authorities or someone older that could help you and that could help the other person, as your safety always comes first. You should also go up to the recipient after and give them some emotional support, as sometimes all people need is a shoulder to lean on and to know that there's someone there for them, there's someone that they can talk to. In general, you should always try your best to help the person in need, as they definitely need some support after that unkind behavior.
Excellent. No, I agree with you. Being unkind can have a lasting impact on it's a an bad negative impact on someone, because every person react differently, right? So they can be sad, angry, or make they can even go on depression. So it is important for us to practice kindness, and try to be helpful and be friendly with everyone. Excellent. Thank you so much for your answer, Nahian. So my actually we are done with the questioning, and now we will move on to the final segment of our podcast. And I would like to invite our special guest Albert to share his thoughts on bullying and give some advice to our participants and viewers. Albert.
Okay, first off, thank you for all your responses. Thank you, Manwar, for having me here. Um, I would like to start off by saying, as a young boy, I was a victim of bullying, and it affected my life for a long time. But what I did to um, help with what I went through as a young man is I definitely reached out to my peers. It's very important not to keep it locked inside. You need to reach out to people. When it comes to the victim or the person who's doing the bullying, I think they're both having issues. And sometimes the victim who is suffering from maybe feeling rejected, I think it's very important to reach out to them as an arm, as a friend. For the boy who's or the girl or whoever's doing the bullying, sometimes you need to reach out to school peers, to parents, reach out and find out why that boy is doing the bullying. Sometimes it could be that he's suffering from something, and his way of responding to his pain inside is bullying another child. So I think that what you guys are doing is very admirable. I think that it is, like I said again, it's very important to reach out to your peers. I think they can offer you a lot of help. When it comes to you guys, yes, never put yourself in danger. I think that reaching an arm out to a person who has been bullied, allow them to be part of your group, allow them to be a friend, be involved. Like if you guys are playing, I found that when I was going through it, playing soccer as a youth and doing something like-minded with people, even sometimes the boy who's doing the bullying, when you're playing soccer, that's or a sport or something you guys can share that is fun for everybody. Sometimes that helps a lot. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for your responses. And I want to thank you guys for being able to voice your opinions and your feelings towards it. And I want to say that, Manwar, thank you for having me. And if there's any way that I can help you, Manwar, with the, pushing forward more conversation with bullying, I'd be more than happy to help. And again, thank you everybody for having me.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you for your insight. Like Albert said, that bullying, the victim of bullying might feel isolated, alone, and what they do sometimes is internalize. That's what they should not be doing. They need to talk to somebody. People are out there to help. All you have to do is just find out that person, trusted person, tell them, and do not internalize. Thank you so much, Albert. I really appreciate your time here. Any question? Do you guys have any question for Albert?
No.
All right. Do you? All right. So we have come to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank our participants, Hadian, Shahroz, and Nahian. And I also want to thank today's special guest, Albert, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know where you are supposed to be here right now, knocking doors, and but you manage time for us. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind our listeners that there are several resources available to help individuals dealing with bullying. The Government of Alberta has Bullying Helpline, which provides support and advice to those experiencing bullying. And the helpline can be reached at 1-888 456 2323. Bullying is a violation of human rights. Under no circumstances, bullying is acceptable. And thank you for joining in conversation with Manwar Khan, and we will see you next week.